Well, here we are. This is exciting.
Very exciting.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Mitch. Appreciate the opportunity to speak and talk a little bit more about this journey, the process that we've been on.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, you made an announcement that in the life of our church is pretty significant. Do you want to go ahead and share what that was?
Yeah. So it was on May the 31st, May 30 and 31st, the weekend. I made the announcement that we're beginning this succession plan, which is actually the beginning of a search for the next lead pastor for Grand Point Church. And it was not a resignation, not a, just here's my resignation kind of thing, but it was the invitation for the entire church to be a part of this plan and to be part of the journey that will take us through that process.
So I'm sure you plan this like all people do, but one of the things I love is that, so we have Saturday services and then Sunday services, and then you promptly went on vacation after that.
Yeah.
So what was that like, making this big announcement and then like taking a break?
Yeah, well, the ironic thing about that whole thing was we had that vacation planned long before we planned to make the announcement. So it just so happened on the right, and it was great timing for Penny and I then to go away and just ponder, what did we just do?
Yeah,
what just happened?
Did that feel different than any other like vacation, or was it kind of just like business as usual after a long weekend?
The decision for us to enter into a succession moment and even begin the process was huge for us. We've been talking about succession for, years, probably six years. And so it was not a quick decision that was made. In fact, succession planning is not an event. It's an ongoing process. So we began this process a long time ago, and it just came to the announcement of it, the revealing of it, on May.
So what we did was we filmed a video that. Well, first off, let me go back. You kind of started telling people who kind of needed to know as we prepared for it, and then we filmed a video that we then shared that weekend at all our campuses and online, and then you kind of from there invited everybody in person to let them know what we were doing. So I want to go back as we kind of start to dive into this. In the video, you kind of did it in a way that it was a timeline, right? You told the whole story. So you started talking about this whole thing came out of your time at Denver Seminary.
That is correct.
So tell us about your time there. Like, why were you going there? Was succession at that time like on your mind, or was that something that just kind of popped out of thin air? Because you mentioned Dr. Gordon MacDonald was someone that you took classes from. So tell us about your time at Denver Seminary.
Yeah, it's an interesting and a vital part of the story. So I was in Denver Seminary for a period of 6 years, 2015. Working on my doctorate of ministry degree. And one of the seminars that I took was called Navigating the Minefields of Ministry. And it was being taught by Dr. Gordon MacDonald. And as he was defining the minefields of ministry, he brought up the idea of age. Like when you get to a certain age or you begin the second half of your life or your ministry, one of the minefields he described was the sense of losing control to the next generation of leadership, losing your leadership and losing your decision-making ability to the next generation. Now, I prefer the verbiage of giving control to the next generation rather than losing, but whatever verbiage you use, whether you lose it or give it, there is a sense of loss or a sense of transition, obviously, that happens. So I was so intrigued by that, and I was 59 at that time, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to just sit down with him, see if he would sit down with me and talk a little bit more about this, considering I was at that age that he said you should start thinking about it. So, funny thing about this, funny story, here I have this opportunity with Gordon MacDonald, who's this world-renowned pastor
Right.
and
Yeah.
author and teacher and a guy who's highly respected. And I got some time with him, personal time with him, or I wanted to. So I asked if I could meet with him for lunch, and he said, yeah, let's do lunch. And so we went. I took him out for lunch, just the two of us, and we went to Panera Bread. We ordered, and I went to pay and discovered at that moment that I forgot my wallet. So here I am with Gordon MacDonald. We've already ordered, and I had this most embarrassing moment of saying, "Hey, Dr. MacDonald, I forgot my wallet. You're going to have to pay for the meal." So
Solid.
He was such a gracious man and did that. But we sat down and we talked just one-on-one about succession, and he highly recommended that you begin a succession plan at about age 60.
Okay.
About age 61.
Was that sorry? Was that hard to hear? Like, is that in your nature to think about what's next, or are you kind of just one of those people that you are just like, you're in it and you're not thinking about the next step?
So let me answer that by saying leadership is never just leading in the present. It's always leading for the future.
Sure.
So a good leader will always be making plans for the future, not just the present.
Right.
So that's always kind of in the back of my mind. When I make plans here at Grand Point or whatever, it's always future focused, not just for the present. So when it came to that, I'm thinking, okay, there is a future that I will need to consider. There's a future that Penny and I will have to walk through, which includes succession. Now, I believe that that's different for everyone. For Dr. MacDonald, that was age 60 for him.
Okay.
And that's when he transitioned. And so he was using that benchmark kind of as a guide for the rest of us, there in the class. But when I met with him, I thought, okay, this is great. I love what he's saying, but I didn't feel that I was ready to transition yet at 60 because I was a year away from that. I have a lot more to give. And I didn't feel like the church was ready at that point. However, we began the conversation with a few people, and we kind of tucked that pending succession in the back of our minds, knowing that it would be coming.
Yeah. So, like, were you nervous to bring that conversation up with people? Was there a little bit of like, man, I don't want people to get the wrong idea? Yeah. Because I think inherently, anytime you start talking about change, especially in church, even if it is maybe in a circle of people that are completely trusted, change is scary. So what was your gut reaction to knowing like, hey, I need to start talking about this more than just, between you and Penny?
Yeah, Mitch, I think, and this is, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on this, because for us, we could either focus on ourselves and what this means to us, but we're choosing to make the church the priority. So when the church is the priority for us, we will make decisions based on what is best for the church and the future of the church, and not just us. Yeah, the succession definitely impacts, Penny and me and our future, but we're thinking more of the benefit of this transition for the church and its future and sustainability. Again, it's planning for the future and not just the present.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my heart in all of this, and I think a lot of it is coming from that. So when I focus on that, it's not scary for me. It's exciting for me.
Yeah.
To know that God has a next step, another step, a better step planned for the church. If I think about me and just me and Penny and what we're going to do, yeah, it can be scary.
Yeah.
But we also know that we can trust a God who will provide for that.
That's
and
awesome.
Those needs as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's maybe fast forward a little bit, probably about 3 or 4 years to 2024. If you don't know Lawrence, you may not know about the Advantage Group. The Advantage Group is a part of Lawrence's ministry. It's something you've been a part of now for a long time.
Yeah, about 4 years. I joined the Advantage Group in 2023, and it was an invitation from this group of pastors who were pulling together some of the larger church pastors in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And Grand Point is one of the, we're in that top 60 largest churches in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the numbers as much, though, as it is about relatability. So I got involved with a group of pastors that were relatable in terms of size of ministry and how we lead at that level. So.
Yeah, that can be. In general, I think when you're in ministry, it can be really hard to find people like that you relate to. I think the bigger church you get, there's unique needs, and it can just be challenging. So for you to find that group, I mean, that's a total godsend in itself.
It was a great advantage. I mean, true to their name, they are an advantage, and the advantage group is made up of four guys that were part of the LCBC, Lives Changed by Christ Church, and they left and started this group called the Advantage, and their sole ministry is to create this collaborative ministry with other church pastors, and so in collaboration with them, and along with them, and they with us. They had a real interest in Grand Point Church and what was happening here. So the big thing came for that when we had a whole day of succession planning that was led by David Ashcraft and the team there at Advantage. And that was a real, I think, defining moment for me as succession then began to kind of come a little bit closer to a reality for us, and that was in 2024. And so I came away from that and then created the succession plan that I presented to our elder team.
Yeah. Can you maybe talk about, you said it was defining for you. What made it so clear, or maybe like what was the thing that clicked for you? Was it simply that you saw David Ashcraft? David Ashcraft did a similar kind of transition, much longer. Yeah. But was it that you saw it done so well, or like what clicked there for you that maybe in your head it was like, okay, this is becoming more of a tangible thing for me?
It was a story of LCBC, but also a lot of other stories. So I'm meeting with these guys. We're sitting at this round table with 12, 14 other guys, and we're talking about succession, and almost all of them had a plan.
Okay.
And it could be anywhere from 5 to 7 years, 3 to 5 years. But they spoke of their succession planning. And at that point, I did not have a clear plan, but I knew my plan was not like 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
I didn't have that time. So I felt a little bit behind, in the process. But again, I think the timing for Grand Point is good.
Yeah.
We're at a good place. But it was at that moment feeling like, okay, we need to have a succession plan because every pastor's an interim pastor.
Sure.
Right. That, you're not going to be here forever. And the other thing that I think came up at that meeting was that ministry is not a marathon. It's a relay.
Yeah.
So I'm not here just to run as hard and long as I can and then drop at the end. No, my role as a pastor is to run the race well for my laps, pass the baton to the next runner, and let them run well. So when all that came together, I'm thinking this is the way I want it to be at Grand Point. Again, for the benefit of the church, not just for my benefit.
Yeah.
So that began that succession planning and the conversation with the elders.
Wow. Let's talk for a minute about Penny.
Oh yeah, Penny's the whole person behind this. She's the one that's making this all happen. So
yeah,
I'm just kidding about that, but she's very much on board with the transition, and a very wise woman, very wise partner in ministry, and helps me process it, think through it, creates a comfort level for me.
Yeah,
in this, knowing that she's on board and she can see things that I can't, and so she's a vital partner. In the process. So
would you say that this was a joint decision?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
What about it being a joint decision made it easy?
Yeah, so we were driving to Lancaster one day, and I happened to just pull up the podcast for Gordon McDonald talking about transitions, and so that was the first time that I exposed her to it. And so we're listening to the podcast, and she really connected with it and just felt I think it was at that moment that we felt the Lord just really impressing on us that our time is now, and we need to start moving. And again, that would have been several years ago. But from that moment on, Penn and I often referred back to that podcast and that moment, that defining moment. But she resonated with it, and I feel like she was very supportive and maybe even more encouraging than I was myself to pursue this.
Yeah. So what did it feel like to come to a place where you almost like could be like an exhale of the time is now? Like, what did that change anything in your heart, in how you viewed what you're doing here currently? What has that been like for you now that you're talking about it and you made the decision public?
So because it's a succession plan and there's no hard end date of like 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever, I'm still committed to leading 110%. Right?
Yeah.
So there's no let up in my leadership. I'm going to be involved just as I always was, maybe even more so, in these defining moments of succession. So it's not changing a lot for me there, but because it is out there and it's now beginning, there is a lot that's going through my mind.
Yeah.
And Penny and I are having a lot of conversations, about what's next for us,
and
what that might look like. So, but we, the blessing is we serve such an amazing congregation at Grand Point, and I just want to take that moment to thank all of you for your part of the journey as well. And, your response to the announcement, the response to the announcement from the congregation was just incredible and very encouraging.
That's awesome. I want to widen the lens a little bit here and maybe talk to other pastors. Because I think one of the things that I see value in is making sure that people understand that, this type of succession, this type of transition, it can happen. So in your opinion, how early do you think a pastor needs to start thinking about this? I think you touched on it a little earlier, but is even if it's not, you're not going to like retirement necessarily, but maybe somebody who's younger, maybe somebody who's, in my, their mid 30s like me. What does that look like even at that age?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to an age factor, there's several factors there, and there's different times or stages when someone should consider succession. One of them might be that you've just reached your level of leadership, like you don't have that capacity to lead anymore. You might be in your 30s or 40s when that happens, and so you start the succession plan so that someone with a different skill set or a renewed vision can come in and lead. Others of us, and it's interesting how many people put retirement into this.
Sure.
When I made the announcement, I didn't mention retirement at all because that's not really what's happening. But I mean, it is in a sense, but most people associate this with retirement. So that's another stage or age when you should consider succession. If retirement is coming and it's close, yes, then you consider that as well. Succession planning should really be anywhere between 3 to 5 years, and because it's a process, it's not a one-time event. So it's a process that you begin and just work out over time, because this is important, and we want to get this right, and we feel like we really feel like we have spent, the time that we needed to do this.
Yeah.
When we began, one of the first things that I did was I appointed a succession team.
Right.
So we had 4 couples, previous elders and other respected leaders, come together and just surround us with prayer to determine timing. How do we present this? When do we make this public, and what does it look like for us?
Yeah.
So that team is separate. It's an ad hoc committee, separate from the search committee. It's separate from the elders. It's a whole team that is just really surrounding Penny and me.
Yeah.
With direction, prayer, and a lot of encouragement. So
How frequently did you guys meet?
yeah, so we didn't meet very frequently. We've had two dinner meetings. To this date, we will most likely have another one or two, and then that committee will just kind of be there to help Penny and I, because the church is going to move forward with the search committee and the elders, and the succession team then will primarily just be there for Penny and me as we navigate what's next. And but it's a very supportive system, and just a very healthy way to do it. And so I appreciate the advice that I've had from other pastors, the advice that I had from Advantage, advice that I got from reading certain books.
Yeah.
Appreciate all that. This has not been something that we entered into lightly or quickly, but
Right.
very thoroughly and prayerfully.
Yeah.
So.
Well, can you recommend? You brought some books, brought some resources.
I have the books.
What resources can you recommend to people aside from community? Right, that was a big part of this. Whether that's just kind of a local team at your church or a cohort of other people, maybe in the similar life situations. Are there books? Are there podcasts?
Yeah. So working with a group of advisors or people that have gone through it is by far the best. It was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Right. One of the books that I would recommend is this book called Next. It's actually put out by William Vanderblumen and Warren Bird. A great book just on Next and succession planning. So that's a resource that I read. There's other podcasts that I listen to, but it was the group of pastors with the Advantage team that I met with that was the most impacting for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one more question, kind of in that lane of helping other pastors, other leaders. What would you say to the pastor or the leader who's never thought about what comes next?
Wow, you just have to. You just have to. As a leader, you always lead toward what's next, not what is the present. And if you're only leading for the present, only planning for the present, you're going to get stuck at some point. And again, I said this before, but when we plan, we don't plan for the present. We plan for the future.
Right.
We plan for tomorrow. And so with that leadership mindset, I would just encourage other pastors, if you're not planning for tomorrow, begin doing that today.
Yeah.
Because it is so important for the sustainability of the ministry and the future of the ministry. Those who fail to plan for tomorrow will most likely see tomorrow just go away.
Yeah.
The church will fail, and or the church will just kind of disappear.
Yeah.
But when you plan for tomorrow, there's an excitement there. There's a plan, and it will continue.
Makes me think of, my dad growing up. It was by failing to prepare, or by failing to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
So like this idea of, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy what's happening in the moment. Doesn't mean that you can't stay put for a while. Because that's been one of the. I'm sure that's a hard thing. We're in a really sweet time of ministry in our church. There's a lot of wonderful things going on. You pointed out in the video that, the church attendance-wise at all of our campuses are as big as they've ever been. Mm-hmm. Giving's as great as it's ever been. All these things. Yeah. This would be the time for you to, in some ways, you could coast. But you're choosing the latter, right?
Yeah, no, it is at Grand Point is at a very healthy place. There's no doubt about that. And so in that sense, it's a great time for a transition to happen, but it's also the hardest time for a transition to happen because, I want to be a part of this, and I'm excited about what God is doing.
Yeah.
But I'm even more excited about the future and what God's going to do through other leadership, because we're not done.
Right.
God is not done with Grand Point. I mentioned in there, and we'll talk about this in future podcasts, but the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
For Grand Point. And when you look at, the biblical term that Jesus used was the harvest. When you look at the harvest, the fields are ripe and ready for harvest. And it is no time at all for us to let up. It's a time for us to step up and move forward and gather that harvest that's out there.
Yeah.
Because our time is, it's limited, right?
Right.
We only have so much time. I'm not just talking necessarily about the time we have in the world, but even our personal time.
Yeah.
And so we want to make the best of it.
Yeah. Well, Lawrence, thank you so much for taking time to share the beginning of the story. Yeah. The exciting part about this is that we're actually going to lay this out in a few more episodes. The next episode, we're going to talk about what you've learned through 14 years,
almost 14 years
of being here at Grand Point.
Yes.
And that's really exciting because our desire in this is, and your desire is to bring people along, to celebrate the awesome things that have happened, maybe to share some of the things that didn't go so well.
But we've had those moments.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just so grateful that this is where we are, and this is the story we have to tell.
Yeah, thanks for hosting this podcast, Mitch. It is a great story. Grand Point has an amazing story, and it's not been because of me and my leadership. It's been because of the church as a whole, just working together, having the right things in focus, and we're really working to lead as many people to find and follow Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And there's much more to come.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and be on the lookout for the next few episodes dropping in the next few weeks. We're grateful that you're joining us on this journey. Take care.